Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about President Trump saying that a deal with Iran could come as soon as this weekend. But investors have heard that a deal was close before. And if there is an agreement, what does it look like? The White House says that a memorandum of understanding will open up the Strait of Hormuz and Iranian funding for terrorist groups and give financial relief to the regime if they follow through.
Has Iran committed to not pursuing a nuclear weapon, or will there be more negotiations on that down the line?
They will not have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that. There will be no, which is the whole reason, which is a big part of the reason.
Is that going to be in your agreement, sir?
They will not only not have, they will not purchase, develop in any way, any shape, in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon. They will not have a nuclear weapon.
But the president now slamming Iran on True Social, saying that the regime is leaking terms that America hasn't agreed to, and, quote, they better get their act together. But we're also getting some other news, Marcus, that, it's all about inspecting. This says that Iran deal includes an inspection regime, and that the U.S. will get enriched material under this Iran deal. These are senior administration officials, so we'll continue to work to sift through all of these. But it was always about how do you get that? You got to trust but verify, and you have to go in and get that stuff out.
I'll just add news before you jump in. Pakistan's prime minister says he can, quote, confirm that a final agreed-upon text of the peace deal has been reached between the United States and Iran. Pakistan, quote, is now working closely with both sides to finalize the next steps.
Compliance and enforceability is what I worry about the most. We're dealing with a leadership group, which we don't know. Are they going to honor the agreement? I think the odds are, if Kelsey was putting it on their little chart, the odds would be no. They're not going to, and I don't know what happens next.
Lou, what happened? Here's my bigger question. After all the hand-wringing since February 28th, I think sometimes we sat here at this table and thought, is it working? Is economic Project Freedom working? It wasn't. Why are we giving Iran time? Then we heard earlier this week that we were sneaking out 100 million barrels last month. So, okay, maybe it was working. Are we confident that they felt enough economic pressure that they actually now for real are coming to the table?
Well, I think they are, and we've militarily dismantled any defenses that they've had. We've continued to apply the pressure both politically, economically, militarily. I think what's most telling here, I mean, I'm with Marcus here, that compliance and accountability is always hard to enforce. We've dealt with that with China in every interaction, right? They never do exactly as they say and agree that they're going to do. I think we'll deal with that with Iran. But there's this thought that the market always knows best and is pricing it in. Look at what's going on right now. On the confirmation from Pakistan, oil hits $84 a barrel. That's the lowest it's been since April 17th by my look at the chart here. If we break into the low 80s, I think that the market's looking past this, and there's a good, strong likelihood of a resolution. Again, there's information that's leaking into the markets that we're not privy to yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, based on these conflicting news reports, I think it's more pointing towards they're at the point of surrender. They have to. They economically can't handle it much longer.
Dagan, I'm wondering if I need to be changing my tune. I think a month ago I stood here and I said, until the strait is like open, we're not going to have oil come down. We're not going to have the markets finally believing that this thing is open. But to our previous conversation, maybe the strait doesn't. Now, we're reporting that under the deal, the strait would be open. But if the strait is less significant than it was 3 months ago, and we know that it'll be less significant 2 years from now than it was 3 months ago, should I not be sitting here and saying I need the strait to be open, I need ships to be flowing? Is that maybe no longer like the appropriate benchmark?
The strait needs to be open just in terms of world order and safety, and to take power, any power away from the terrorist regime in Iran. And part of what has kept oil prices in check below $100 a barrel is something I was talking about yesterday. China reducing its exports so dramatically. What exports down 40%, and by an amount that's the equivalent of both what France and Germany consume. So there are a lot of things at play, and it's not just oil and product that's been able to make its way out of the region that has kept prices in check. It's the inventories that have been delivered out of our Strategic Petroleum Reserve and other petroleum reserves around the world. Because our crude production, now we're the #1 exporter in the world now as of the 3 months in a row. But our crude production is high, record levels, but is stuck at about 13.8 million barrels per day. And Lou can speak to that. But because new rigs, more drilling has not happened, we're producing kind of maxed out at
we're at the red line,
slightly
pretty much.
under 14 million barrels a day. So there are a lot of things, like if China starts trying to get at more oil, prices would go up.
Dagan, if there was a resolution that was signed and done and oil came off the table, how quickly do tariffs from this administration come back to the forefront and provide instability?
Wait, they already reintroduced tariffs recently.
How
There was a
quickly
new, right?
I think it was a week or two ago.
It was a week or two ago.
How quickly does it come back to the front and center of discussions around the predictability of the general economy?
I can't answer that. You're concerned about tariffs more than investors are because you're an operator.
I'm concerned that every time one issue gets resolved, a new issue gets created, and we haven't had a moment in time where things just have been normal.
Yeah.
Well, midterms, probably not.
Right.
But I have to look at the type of tariffs that they levied or tried to lay on, but I'll dig into that. I'll report back, Marcus.
I think you're too pessimistic about the tariffs.
I'm too pessimistic?
Yeah.
Which part?
I'll tell you why.
She'll tell you.
Core goods prices in the
Fell.
most recent
Well
CPI fell.
Year over year.
Down
Yeah, but if we keep
zero-
trading cost for another cost, because right now energy is creeping into everything else, 60% of the rise in CPI is
Petroleum and
energy.
plastics?
But let me.
Crazy.
But the core goods number is as Larry Kudlow pointed out, your tariff number. That's what will track tariff input costs, and it was down 0.11%.
Brian, final thoughts. We got to go.
That was my final thought. It was perfectly said.